All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, welcome back to the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be one blockbuster preview. As you can see, I've got my boy, my brother Eunice in the house. I just thought that the occasion kind of warranted this situation today. First of all, Eunice, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me on. It's nice. Obviously, from time to time when we do this, it's always all you can eat Chelsea, and there's 3 or 4 of us now. From time to time, it's good to do these little ones. So
bro.
Thanks for having me,
A
man.
little bit more intimacy, Jeremy.
It is, exactly.
Get lost in the crowd sometimes, and this I want to try and bring in Matisse more often as well, and Drug Bubba. By the way, Drug Bubba, shout out to Drug Bubba. He's in London at the moment. I'm pretty sure he'll try and catch up with Eunice and Matisse as well. He's at Stamford Bridge tonight. He's there and he's taking photos and everything. He's loving life. So shout out to Drog Bubba. For people that are not following him on socials, literally his name's Drog Bubba in Twitter and Drog Bubba in YouTube, Drog Bubba everywhere, Instagram as well. Do follow. Okay, Eunice, let's get to the nitty gritty, as you would say. Enough with the sweet talk, enough with the lovey-dovey situation. Eunice, look, everyone knows your stance on Graham Potter. I was going to say Harry Potter. Graham Potter.
Not far off.
maybe Harry Potter as well. Why not? Everyone knows you got the heat initially, but I think slowly people saw what you were saying. But I want to ask you, bro. Let's kick this off.
Yep.
You were mentioning this just offline that after the Leeds game, maybe people a little bit more relaxed, you know what I mean? And I sort of was saying to you, I mean, what can people really do? Because Dortmund's just around the corner. You know, it's not like they can drum the beats by saying, Potter out. I want to ask you, Eunice, is there any ounce of optimism from you that if by chance Graham Potter not only wins against Dortmund, but then goes on a bit of, 7, 8. That's the threshold I've sort of put myself that. If he can get about 7 to 8 match winning streak, I may start rethinking. Because right now I've seen enough. Like, the brother needs to grow. But I'm not one of those individuals that I'm stubborn. Like, if a person, right? Let's say, for instance, Eunice, you and me, we have a clash, right? But as time goes on, you kind of show me that you're a different person. I can't just keep saying, well, I hate Eunice. No. Like, I've got to make a new situation. That, you know what? He's really tried, and I like him now. I really do like him.
Well,
are you one of those?
That is kind of how it to an extent happened between you and me.
By the way, ladies, that's pretty much what happened.
Basically, I remember getting that I've got a message for you, and I'm like, oh, here we go. And now look, so no, absolutely, bro, absolutely. Here's the thing, and I've said this prior to, you know, when it really changed, and then everyone kind of shifted. We lost to Southampton, everyone kind of shifted and went, okay, no, that's it now. Potter's got to go. Before that, I did say I don't believe in it, right? I don't think Potter will do well. I don't think he's got it in him. But, right, if, just for hindsight's sake, just, you know, because you never know. But if Graham Potter all of a sudden gets this team playing and you start seeing differences, and I was talking about that upward trajectory, and we pick up, as you've said, 8, 9, 10 results, at that point, I'll be like, okay, yeah, all right, we're making progress. We're going somewhere now. Okay, maybe we give him time. But up until that point, there's nothing to believe in. So exactly. That's why I'm absolutely 100%.
You're open for that.
100%. 100%.
Brilliant. I think that's a key point to note, that you're not one of those. I think far too many times
I've got nothing against him personally. I mean, I met him once. Seemed nice. But I've got nothing against him personally. I don't know the guy. So I'm not... I don't have a reason to hate or anything like that. No, I'm talking... All my criticism has come from, I would say, a professional point of view. So his ability as a manager of an elite club like Chelsea Football Club. That's it.
No, it makes
So
sense, and it's good to have an approach like that. A lot of people, sometimes might call me a flip flop if I start appreciating if Potter's gone in the right direction, and they may even do the same thing with you. But I think people need to understand we're not like it's not blocked. Like that's it, it's case
no.
closed. No, like if he actually shows that he's improving and the team is improving and there is a good chemistry that is fostering, then yeah, by all means. And that's what I've said. About 7 to 8 games winning streak. I think that could maybe start giving me the rethinking sort of situation. However, on the contrary, Eunice, on the contrary, if he was to lose tonight against Dortmund, this is a huge game, bro. Like if we don't get this victory against Dortmund, that's it. Like the season's done and dusted. There's literally nothing else to play for us in this season. I don't know whether we're going to make top 4. We're definitely not going to make top 4. Actually, I do know we're not going to make top 4. There's no chance. I think Liverpool is really vying for that top 4 place now. But if we don't beat Dortmund, is that the final nail? Like, is that when you go, Todd Bowley, if you don't make a change now, like it's quite laughable.
Yeah, completely. At that point, it's finished. And I'm actually quite shocked that it got to this point in the first place. Like there were incentives to have got rid of him, and we had the time to be able to try and build on something leading up to these games before. We didn't do it. And obviously we know and we've seen why. But now with this result, as I said in my preview yesterday, like this isn't just the biggest game of this season, it's also for next season too.
Great.
Like, if we were in a situation where we might miss out on Champions League football, but we're going to finish in the Europa League spot, then it doesn't really count next season.
Yeah.
But this counts for next season because best believe right now we're not playing European football. And it's funny because I saw Simon Jordan's thing this morning, and I know you saw it as well.
That clip was good. That clip was good.
And he made a point. And this is where the owners might be thinking, if Chelsea miss out on European football, financially, not the end of the
Doesn't really matter. 60 million, 60, 70 million quid. They just spent 600.
Exactly. So you look at it from that perspective, and that's probably why Todd, whoever's involved, has been a little hesitant to pull the trigger, because it's like, well, we can afford to just give time and to see what happens. Whereas us, we're kind of in the frame of like, nah, mate, we know where this is going. Stop it now. So, look, if he loses to Dortmund, then my opinion, I'd get rid and then start building for summer and start looking to how to actually get this team to finish this season off and then build towards what we're going to get.
Finish it with some dignity, and then work on next season.
But build for the summer. That way, everything's in place for pre-season with a new top manager. That I would start planning now.
So this is what I want to ask you now. If the owners, because my thought process is, Eunice, the owners, as much as they've been saying, Leeds and Dortmund, 2 big games, we'll see how it turns around. If by chance we don't beat Dortmund, for me, it makes me think the owners could turn around and go, what's the point of changing a manager right now? Because there's not much. I want to ask you, because we've just talked about the manager, right? I want to ask you about the owners now.
Yeah.
How would you feel if it gets to that point where the owners are like, we're not going to do anything because it's over anyway. We might as well just let it go by and see what happens next season.
I honestly think, right, and I remember seeing that point of view a couple of weeks ago by Tony, Chelsea SW6, and he mentioned that. And he put it in the perspective of the owners. He reckons the owners are looking at this going, we'll give until Leeds or Dortmund, and then, we'll see. But then if we do lose and we get knocked out of the Champions League, then it's a win-win situation for them anyway. Because if we go through, we're through. He stays. If we get knocked out, well, there's no point now. Just keep him until the end of the season so they still get their way. And I heard that and thought, oh my God, that might actually just be their plan.
I think that might be their plan, Eunice.
I honestly think it is, yeah. And we can all talk about, we'd make the change. I, for the last week or so, have been thinking, he's going to stay until the end of the season, regardless, minimum.
And you've seen the names we're linked with. Even if he was to go, they like Thomas Frank, like that. Not particularly Thomas Frank per se, but the type of Thomas Frank. They have no interest with Luis Enrique type of managers. They have no interest of Jose Mourinho type of managers. So a lot of people have been saying, if that's the case, just keep brother Potter. Like just have.
But this is the thing. It's like it puts people in the mindset of, oh, we're just going to accept the best of the worst then. Well, it's like, no, we shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Like, we shouldn't be thinking like that. But if that's the choice they're going to give or they're going to flout about, then people are obviously going to go, oh, okay, well, no, you know what? We'll just stick with Potter. That's what they want you to do. Like, that's the point. Like, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. Again, unless we see initial progress and we actually see steps forward. So if up until that point, if we don't get that, then there's no point. I honestly think we need an elite manager in. And when you look at the names that people have been, fans have been talking about, whether it's, there's Luis Enrique,
Jose Mourinho,
even right, if we're going to talk about a manager like Poch, like we've seen others, definitely ahead of, I'm sorry, Thomas Frank and those guys. All due respect,
come on, of course, yeah.
But what Thomas Frank, to be honest, do I think he will become a top manager? I think there's potential. But I'm sorry, that where he's now, that's his level. Like, we shouldn't be talking about bringing him, just like bringing Potter or bringing any of those managers up into the big time.
Eunice, there are certain managers that just have a certain level, right?
Exactly.
I don't understand. I don't get why some people think, okay, they're doing well in Brighton, maybe they'll do even better in Chelsea. Like, sometimes the managers just have a certain level. Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, you'll know. I think, and this is where, like, my assessment in being able to clarify which manager is good or not comes from. I wouldn't mind a manager from a team like Brighton, right? If that manager got Brighton into the top four and got them into the quarterfinals of the Champions League, or like completely transformed the club, I'd be like, yo, this manager's serious.
Maybe won an FA Cup. I don't know.
Maybe exactly. At that point, you're talking maybe he's got some sort of quality here that a top club could use, right? But up until that point, you got to just look at the ones that are in that bracket or the ones that have made it into that bracket. Graham Potter, for me, is not that. When you're looking at top managers historically, they are ones that have managed to get teams, even if they started off at that level, but teams to a level where they didn't expect that club to be, So I think that's the criteria that we need to be basing it on, not just plucking out from hope and faith. It's going to be good.
But every watch along, Eunice, I kid you not, I start with a prayer. Ya Allah, please be with us. Chelsea fans, get us a victory, please. Because I've got no hope on the tactical side of things. So we talked about manager, we talked about the owner. I want to ask you about the players, Eunice.
Yeah,
there's been a lot of PR from the players. All right, every single day, some different players coming out and talking it up for Graham Potter.
Yeah,
I don't know from your perspective what you think. I felt there was some fight against Leeds to a certain degree. The players really, whether they fought for Graham Potter, time will tell. Maybe they fought for themselves. Maybe it was a self-pride thing that we don't want to keep losing. We look silly losing all the time. So maybe there was some percentage of self-pride. But the way Ruben Loftus-Cheek, some of his quotes recently, like, he seems to really care about Graham Potter. Reece James as well, and a few other players in recent times have been saying drumming the same beat. What's your perspective on the players? Like, do you feel like the players are trying to buy in on what Potter is saying? They like his management style, apparently. Like, I know you were quite against it, that some of the players after the Southampton loss kind of thought that they were going to get a shellacking, but the manager came in and really didn't say anything. Didn't say much. That's life. And I don't know whether players kind of, were a bit surprised out of that. I'm not sure. What's your stance on the players? Do you think the players kind of want to fight for this manager? Because Ruben Loftus-Cheek said in the previous quotes that the players apparently feel for the manager copying all this heat in media and getting to answer all of this stuff about the players. and the manager has never put any of the players under the bus. I don't know whether I think the players appreciate that.
I think this needs to be divided into two different points, which is something that you really couldn't do under an elite manager. And I say that because an elite manager wouldn't be scared to be able to show exactly how they feel, or, you know, go off on one, or drop players, or, you know, there's a certain level of character there that's like, I'm the gaffer, we're going to do this way. And it's that way that's got them to the success that those managers have achieved, right? So when they come into a Chelsea dressing room, if they impose that and it kind of backfires, it's very easy for a player to turn against, right? I think Graham Potter has good man management skills, right? In terms of being able to build relationships. I think this is what I've been saying. I think Potter's a genuinely nice person.
Nice guy.
I don't think you can, I don't think you can hate him, which is why I think in terms of him amongst the squad, I think they do like him. There's no personal beef. There's no vendetta, right? But does he get the best out of them on a footballing level? Does he know what to do and how to coach to get the best out of them when they're playing or when they're training? I don't think so. Which is what I believe is affecting their performances. I mean, we've even seen an average Reece James at right back, which is insane, right? I think on a footballing level, there's that. But on a personal level, I think the players are looking to actually try and buy into that, but they can only do what they're told, and they can only do what's been given to them or execute what's been given to them. And right now, we've seen the level. So I think
there's
a
difference, right? Yes. There's a difference between a nice guy and a ruthless guy that knows how to win. I think that's where the issue, some of these players are sort of confused. They're in a confused state of mind. Like, he's a nice guy. I don't want to be bad to him, but he can't win.
Yeah, no, he's treated us nicely. We think there might be a process. We are, we're moving with it. I don't have any problems. I like coming into work. It's cool. The vibe is all right. I also think that this is what I think, right? I think it's easier than it's been before. I think in terms of the training, the methodologies, what they're being asked to do. I think right now the players are not being put through paces that they need to be put through. I think they are to an extent, but I think they can be pushed so far more, and you can get so much more out of this team. And if they do get pushed, that they're going to discover things about themselves that they haven't yet discovered, because these are young lads. I don't think they're being pushed to that level and that limit. So I think there is an element of when they're training and when they're playing, especially when they're training, that it's not too difficult. And when you're coming into work and it's not too difficult, it's all right, isn't it? You know,
you're never pushed. You never pushed to the limit.
This is all right. This is nice. Although you might find a couple of scenarios that are challenging, you deal with it. But it's different when you have a manager that's constantly pushing, and you're like, oh my God, this is pressure. This is insane. And then it depends how you deal with it. I don't feel like there's that. I feel like everyone is actually, getting along, but that's it. So
it's a nice way to retire, isn't it? It's such a lovely way to retire. Like, no pressure. It's all easy. I get my paycheck and I don't get pressured. Hey, so we talked about the manager, the owner, the players. Let's talk about Dortmund. Yunus, Dortmund's flying. I've seen your video. It scared the living daylights out of me. I didn't keep up with, Dortmund's form and all of that. But I have to say, Yunus, I feel like I'm not too scared. Like, I feel like this Chelsea squad, if they get it right, I know you weren't quite completely impressed against Leeds, even though we were okay, but you weren't completely impressed. And that's absolutely understandable. You don't need to be supremely impressed after just one victory. But I have to say one thing, though. Attackingly, I think we were looking a lot more sharper in some of our movements. And that might be because of the change in formation, the three at the back, the double pivot, the wing backs wide and high up, and João Felix and Sterling in the half spaces. It looked like something was clicking. And at halftime, honestly speaking, we should have been 2-0 up. There was a clear-cut opportunity for Havertz where Sterling put him through, and there was another really good opportunity for João Felix who hit the post. We should have been 2-0 up. I don't remember anything from Leeds, to be honest. I don't think Leeds did anything in the first half. And then in the second half, we ended up getting that goal. So potentially we could have finished that game 3-0. But of course, those substitutions were mad. Graham Potter self-inflicted pressure on himself. That's when I was like, dude, you can't do that. You were going good, and then you kind of killed yourself. But I thought the attack was not that bad, Eunice. And that first leg against Dortmund, I think you even agreed in your video saying that we potentially should have won. I know there's a meme that's going around that, he coached a win, but we ended up losing. I take some heart. I don't know, man. I take some heart that we could potentially beat. I know it's Dortmund that has won, 10, 11 games in a row.
11.
But Eunice, I kid you not, I've seen some of the Bundesliga matches. The quality is not like the way they defend. Sometimes it's very much wild games over there. It's wild west over there. Do you know what I mean? I think we can perhaps get them at home. I mean, do you give us any chance, Eunice?
I do think there's a chance, 100%. And I strictly put this down to, and I said this in my preview, I put this down to how much the players are actually going to want it. Because I think Dortmund are coming in with form, and Dortmund are coming in with confidence, and they know that we're down. They know what we've been going through. But the one thing that I rely on is Champions League night, the bridge, the fans, atmosphere. It hits different, and I think it does urge players to bring a little more level of intensity.
Yeah,
and I feel like if we do that, and we don't panic, that absolutely there is a chance. And it comes down to putting your chances away. We will create. Do we bury them or not? At the same time, do we have enough confidence in ourselves to make sure that we deny Dortmund of anything that they try to do? Because Dortmund are going to come with a goal advantage and knowing that they are one goal ahead. So we need to score 2. And this is where I'm looking and going, we need to do something we've not done since... I still haven't checked. I don't know
I think November. I think November or something.
Oh, even worse. All right. So, great. So... There's that. Dortmund will know that they have the advantage. So it depends on whether we have confidence in ourselves. If we have confidence in ourselves and we play how Chelsea are able to play, we can get a result. If we go back into the mindset that we've been going through in those games where we just started throwing results away, then we've got no chance.
I think some of the players are, as you said, will definitely be up for it. And this is why I want to sort of end it before I let you go, Eunice, and then I'll do my lineup. I feel like, Eunice, this is it though. Like there is nothing else to play after this. Like the motivation will be, it'll be so difficult to keep the motivation up. If we do progress, the motivation can still be high. We can still try and do something in the Premier League and climb the table as far as we can. I feel like our players potentially could, but it's what you said. Are you going to take those chances? Are you going to, when those chances fall to you? And I'm looking at one of the players who's got a bit of criticism, which is João Felix in recent times. And rightly so. Like, I still think he's one of our best attackers. There's no doubt about that. The way he moves and his chemistry with Sterling looked really good. And I would love to see that continue. Yep. But João Felix, Eunice, I'm looking at him as one of the key players to really stand up against Dortmund because he gets into some really good positions and he's got to bury those chances, man. I mean, I'll put it out there. I won't be happy if he is culpable of missing big chances again tonight, which potentially doesn't allow us to progress because we've paid some premium money for this guy to come in. I mean, who are some of the players that you're looking at? And would you agree that João Felix, this is why we brought you in, brother? Like, this is the 12, 13 million loan for the 5 months. And out of that, you've already missed 3 because of suspension.
Well, it's actually insane, isn't it? Because João Felix, as much as he's missed and not scored, he's hit the woodwork how many times, which is actually closer than any other attacker that we actually have, which sums it up. It sums it, soon we're going to get the inner bit of the woodwork, and then soon we're going to get a post and in, and a bar and in, and then it's just going to start going in. So, no, look, I'm looking at João Felix for sure, and this is why I believe that we should probably stick him up front. Even if it were a false 9, I would, because with Kai Havertz, I at this point I don't know what to expect from that guy. I just don't know. Every time he's on the pitch, Well, this is the thing. But then I start telling myself, nah, there will be a game where he scores, surely. But then I'm like, when is that ever going to come? It's just, I don't know. So Felix for sure I'm looking at. Sterling I'm looking at because he's picked up some form. And as crazy as it seems to some people, which I still find weird, but in the Champions League and in Europe and in a situation like we are in tonight where we know we have to attack, I would honestly play Mudryk, man. I really would, and I'd give him that left-hand flank and just go crazy. You got speed, go crazy. Use it to your advantage. Get in behind those defenders and start putting the balls in the box. So I would do that. If there's a little combination there with Chilwell as a wing-back, I think Mudryk in a back three formation would be interesting to see, with Chilwell quite closer to him. So, I honestly would be looking at those players. The midfield and the balance there is going to be interesting as well. Because if we're playing Enzo and Kovacic and there's no, DM or whatnot, and you're going to be looking at Dortmund, who will probably play on the counter. I'm expecting them to. Unless if they look at the situation and go, let's try and get one goal, because if we get one goal, it's pretty much over for Chelsea.
They're not really the park the bus kind of team.
They're not.
So they like to hold possession.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see how Dortmund approach it. Are we going to be able to capitalize? But I'm looking at those players that I've mentioned to try and do something.
No, 100%. I've got a bit of a spanner for Mudryk as well, but I understand what you mean, sort of like the left side. But the way we played against Leeds, I think we might use that same way. And I've got a little bit of a tweak on Mudryk, but that's
you're going to stick him left wing back, aren't you?
No. I mean, look, hey, that is considered as the left winger, isn't it? Like, look how high and wide Chilwell is. That's pretty much where Mudryk would have been. But this is why I've got a different spanner. But that's for you to see later on. I'm going to continue on with the live chat, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to do my lineup. Yunus, thank you so much for your time, my man. Really appreciate it. For people that haven't seen Yunus's video for the preview as yet, it's in the description right now. Go and check that out if you have missed out on Yunus's preview. And look, I'm pretty sure all of you guys are probably subscribed to Yunus, but by any chance you haven't, the link is in the title as we speak. So Yunus, thank you so much, for your time. Much appreciated.
No problem, man. No worries. And looking forward to catching you on All You Can Eat Chelsea. Make sure all of you are there for that on Matisse's channel. And that will be the fallout to whether we make it or we break.
Hopefully we win, bro. Hopefully. By the way, your score prediction before you go, bro.
Man, I hate these now. I said
you're gonna have to hope for a victory, Yunus. Please.
I mean, look. Are we capable of a win? Yes. I'm going to go. We can. I'd say 2-1, and then it goes to like penalties or something. But don't be surprised if we also don't get a result. But I'll go 2-1. I'll go 2-1 Chelsea and then penalties.
All right. Penalties, we win, right? Not Dortmund.
Yeah, why not? Havertz to win it.
Oh my god. Yunus is not confident. All right, Yunus, thank you so much for your time, brother. I'll see you after. Of course, we're probably going to have All You Can Eat Chelsea tomorrow. So, yeah. Take care, bro.
Yeah.
Much
have
appreciated.
A good one, bro. See you later on. See you later.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do our lineup now. Let me just bring that up. Smash up the like button. We've got well over 380 plus people. Hope you guys are all enjoying it so far. We had a really good conversation with Yunus. So, so far, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Let's now talk about the lineup. This is the lineup that I'm going to go with, ladies and gentlemen. I said that there was going to be a little bit of a spanner that I'm going to throw in it. And it's up to you guys. If you think this makes sense or not, let me know. I mean, this is what I'm going with, and I'm going to try and explain to you why I've done that. So I'm going with 3 at the back and the wing back formation. It's something that worked for against Leeds, and something Kovacic has mentioned throughout the week since the victory, and also Graham Potter has mentioned that players seem quite comfortable, and I'm not surprised. I am one bit not surprised. I've been asking for the 3 at the back since the first leg of Dortmund, so I'm glad that we've got this, because I feel like the dynamics of some of these players could potentially work out. So Kepa in goalkeeping position, there's no surprise. There is no Buddy Shield for Champions League, so I think we're going to have to stick in Koulibaly on the left side. Even though Koulibaly played in the middle against Leeds, I would go with Koulibaly on the left. I'm actually going to bring in Chalobah in the middle. As you know, Thiago Silva is still injured. We could potentially use Cucurella as an LCB, but Cucurella hasn't played for a little while. I don't know whether it's completely due to being out of form, but maybe also getting some time off because he has had his third baby, I believe, in the family. So maybe there's some time off due to that. So going with Koulibaly, Chalobah, and Wesley Fofana was a monster against Leeds. And I want to carry that on. I want to absolutely carry that on. And he's buzzing at the moment. And I love the fact that Wesley Fofana at times likes to drive forward from that right channel. So I think that's going to be quite interesting for us. And his ability to, as Graham Potter said, to cover large areas of space with his pace, I think that's going to be very, very helpful for us. Okay, so in the middle, I'm going to continue on with Kovacic and Enzo Fernandez. I think let's continue seeing their development, their chemistry together in the double pivot. Enzo was sensational against Leeds. The way he was, diagonal balls and long balls from these areas, finding players in these sort of areas, and also these areas, it was fantastic to see. The switch of play, the quickness of passing was great, and Kovacic matched that energy as well, which is fantastic. So I'm going to go with these two. In the wingback position, obviously Chilwell. Chilwell for me had a fine game, man. Had a really, really strong game against Leeds. He's going to be the furthest and the widest left-sided player, almost like a left winger, and I want to continue him doing that and really bring that energy, really bring that physicality as well. I think that's going to be a bit of an issue for Dortmund. On that right side, bring in Reece James, if this brother is actually fit, because they're going to make a late call on him. I'm not really sure whether he's fit or not. So maybe he doesn't start. Maybe he does start. If he doesn't, I'm going to have, I think, continue with Ruben Loftus-Cheek on that side because there are no other option. I mean, we could potentially try Madueke, and I've talked about this recently. It's not like Ruben Loftus-Cheek defensively really, gives us something extremely outrageous. So we could potentially use Madueke on that side, and I think Madueke, he's got to learn as well. Like going forward, I think Madueke could potentially give us a lot more than Ruben Loftus-Cheek, but defensively, something that Madueke definitely has to improve on. Up front, ladies and gentlemen, now a lot of people are probably thinking I'm going to put João Felix here. I mean, some may even think Kai Havertz, but I don't want to have Kai Havertz. But look, best believe it's most likely going to be Kai Havertz, right? It's going to be Kai Havertz. But this is the lineup I want to go with, not the lineup that I think that Graham Potter is going to put. I'm not here to predict, but one thing we can definitely predict is Kai Havertz is potentially going to play up front. And there's a reason why I put this player sort of a bit further down as opposed to having him here. I want this particular player to play as a false nine and drop into midfield or be fluid. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it can go on the left side, can go on the right side. It doesn't necessarily have to be penciled down to just stick in this position. I'm going with Sterling on this side. I think Sterling's play against Leeds, how he was dropping into these half spaces here, picking up the ball from these areas, turning and driving towards the goal was very, very dynamic. Sometimes Sterling would be picking up the ball from here and finding a through pass. So I really like Sterling to operate in these half spaces as opposed to staying very wide. I don't want Sterling to stay wide. I want him to stay much closer in these areas and at times maybe even drop in. And that's where Sterling was fantastic. I actually want to continue seeing Felix on that side. So similarly, as Sterling was doing that, what he was doing on the right side, I want to see Felix just continue on. Felix was doing the same thing against Leeds, what Sterling did on the right side, but Felix was doing it on the left. He was dropping into these areas, picking the ball, turning, driving, and then at times Felix would come into these areas. There was a nice cutback from Sterling from here. So we need to be fluid. These players need to be fluid. The player that I want to use over here, and once again, as I said, don't imagine that this particular player is just going to stay here. They can chop and change. They can always chop and change. It can be like this. It can be like that. It's going to be fluid. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. The player that I want to see in here, and I don't want to see Kai Havertz because what more do we have to see from Kai Havertz? And this is a game where I want to score some goals. I really do want to score some goals. I'm going with Mudryk here. I know a lot of you guys probably might not agree with this, but right now, what is Kai Havertz giving us for me to continue on with him? I might as well give Mudryk an opportunity. And some of you guys might say, "Oh, Mudryk, how is he gonna be able to play in that area?" I think we got to give it a shot. We got to give it a shot. And as I said, don't just imagine that Mudryk is just going to be up and down here. He will be at times over there because Felix comes into midfield. Do you know what I mean? So it could potentially at times look like this. It could potentially at times look like this. So, look, I think I'm going to go with Mudryk and as opposed to Kai Havertz. This is the lineup that I'm going with, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not going to use these players, Sterling and Mudryk, are the wingers. They're inside forwards because Chilwell is going to be high and wide. Chilwell is going to take over all of Mudryk's spot. Mudryk likes to be like this, but he's got to learn how to be more internal. And this is why I said maybe Mudryk in the middle, because Felix seems to operate well with Chilwell being high and wide. No point in having Mudryk in this area if he's going to try and sort of take up these positions, because Chilwell is not a particular, fullback that likes being inverted. Chilwell loves bombing forward. So we do have to understand that dynamic as well. But for the time being, we can keep it as like this. Kepa in goalkeeping position, Koulibaly, Chalobah, Fofana to wrap up the defense. Kovacic, Enzo Fernandez in the middle. Reece James, Chilwell are the wing backs. Felix, Mudryk, Sterling, the three up front. Let me know what you guys are thinking, ladies and gentlemen, with this lineup. My prediction, I'm going with a 2-0 victory. I'm going with a 2-0 victory. I think we can get a clean sheet. I think we can get this victory against Dortmund. And do you know what? If Graham Potter is able to get this victory, I think it may just, large parts of the fan base, it may just, kind of give them, I wouldn't say force, but it might just give them the confidence to perhaps be patient a little longer to see where this goes. If the next set of adversities come around, Graham Potter cannot have months of bad form. He can only have maybe 1 or 2 bad games, but I do want to see at least 6, 7, 8 games of winning streak for me to start rethinking. So, look, I think we can get a 2-0 victory. Let's see what you guys are saying before we wrap things up. Mudryk used to play Cam also in Shakhtar. There you go. There you go. Not making this up. I actually don't care that the players like him as a person. They're bound to like him. He's totally non-competitive. No matter how poor we are, that still doesn't make him a good manager. No, Benoit and Silva is going to be shaky. Look, don't forget, no Adame and also their first choice goalkeeper. So Dortmund's a bit weak from that perspective too. He's that kind of a manager who can start Gallagher as false nine. Oh man, if that happens, look, if he gets the lineup wrong, I think that will be the end of that. I would add an extra midfield in Zakaria instead of João and Felix up top. Nah, man, we need to score goals. We need to win. Graham Potter will start his son Kai. He's most likely going to start Kai Havertz. There's no doubt about that. Sadly, Miz, Kai will play, I think. I don't know what goes through Potter's mind. He takes so many games and suspension, injury to drop him out. Now, you're right. I think it will be Kai Havertz. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys have enjoyed this. Smash up the like button. If you're here for the first time, subscribe, hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. I shall see you guys for the watch along. Until then, take care. See ya.